and welcome to the Moonshots Podcast. We are doing an update for the month of July. I'm your co-host, Mike Parsons, and as always, I'm joined by the man with the plan, Mr. Mark Pearson-Freeland. Mark, July, big month.
Well, it's surprising, isn't it, Mike? When we do our listener updates for all of you listeners and members, we have to look back and do a kind of retrospective of what we covered, what we learned, and where we went. And actually, you're right, Mike, it was quite a busy month of July. Even though it was only, I think, a 4-weeker, we managed to squeeze out maybe 6 shows in the end.
You're absolutely right. So let's go have a little bit of a look, and let's kind of have a look here and see what we were up to. Let's see what we managed to get published. And well, it was a very big month. It kind of kicked off with finishing up on some productivity themes with Do More Great Work by Michael Bungay Steiner. He's a fun guy, isn't he, Mark?
I mean, he was such a great speaker. And what I remember from him was the definition of, being able to change. This idea of identifying the areas that you can improve upon and then going out and being maybe a little bit more efficient or a little bit more productive. And I thought that was a really good bookend within that whole productivity series that we started in June, because, it brought it home for us, didn't it, Mike? The fact that we can go out with sort of productivity hacks as well as mindsets to go out and do that little bit of better work.
Yeah, that was a good one. So if you are dealing with the productivity challenge or trying to prioritize a little bit, the Do More Great Work episode from earlier in July was fantastic. It wouldn't be a Moonshots month if we didn't have some Goggins in there. And we did an interesting breakdown of how he broke his world record pull-up attempt. And old Jordan Peterson got kicked off Twitter. So we thought, hey, let's reflect a little bit on his work and see what all the fuss is about. So if you really want to get, actually, it was a kind of a good intro to Jordan Peterson, wasn't it, that show, man?
Yeah, for me, actually, it was really enjoyable revisiting some of those essential rules that you and I found through Jordan Peterson's 2 books, particularly the idea of controlling your own lane, the idea of not comparing yourself to other people who they are today, but reflecting on who you were yesterday, I think is still, regardless of how you see Jordan Peterson in space, I think the rules and advice that he has for us is actually very, very meaningful. So I think I got a lot out of it, actually. Yeah,
that one has been incredibly popular. In fact, I think Jordan Peterson for the last couple of months has probably been the most listened to show. And then we kind of kicked off a happiness series. Now, this happiness series, we managed to squeak in not only Dan Harris, not only did we give Matthew McConaughey a huge favorite of listeners and his whole push on journaling, but in between the happiness series, we squeezed in here a great master series on shared vision. And Airbnb's co-founder, Joe Gebbia, who's actually departed from the company. I mean, out of all of those, Mark, what's the one that you'd recommend for our Moonshot listeners and members?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Matthew McConaughey comes up in our shows as well as the master series a little bit, just because this idea of reflection and revisiting your journals and so on is so powerful. But I think my shared vision, for anybody who wants to go that little bit deeper into alignment, into comprehension, into teamwork, as well as leadership, really needs to start with that idea of beginning with a shared vision, that single source of truth. For me, that's the thing to dive into.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot around vision, around big, hairy, audacious goals, OKRs and all that good stuff. So if you are into that, that's a great episode. If you're in a company and you think you could do a better job of setting a direction and getting everyone excited about it, that's a great episode. I think if you're thinking about journaling, and it would be hard not to if you're a Moonshot listener, you should definitely check out Matthew McConaughey episode because he not only touches upon how to journal in the bad times, but he actually has some great techniques on how you can use it on the good times too. So definitely check that out. So that's a little bit of the month that was, and hopefully we've helped you navigate that a little bit. Let's actually go and have a look now at what's coming up. And before we do that, though, Mark, shouldn't we go and have a look and talk to the new members that we had join us? I mean, the Moonshot clan, it's growing every week now. So I think it wouldn't be an update without an official tip of the hat, Mark.
That's right. Official tip of the hats to Daniel, Andrew, Ravi, and Evert, who have joined us in the month of July as our brand new Patreon members. We really do appreciate having every single one of our members dial in and listen every week as well as every month to our master series. So thank you to you, our brand new members who have joined the family, as well as our active supporters, as we are gradually pulling in more and more bills, Mike, for our hosting and publishing of the episodes.
Yeah, we really do appreciate your support. Let's have a quick look at what's to come here on future shows. By the way, you can just head to moonshots.io and click on the future shows page where you can check out everything that we have coming up. As we mentioned, we already got into our happiness series. By now, we actually just launched this week the Dalai Lama show. Very cool to be doing him. And coming up, Mark, we've still got, look at all this, we've still got another 3 episodes in the happiness series.
I know. Well, you and I are fresh off a record for Neil Pasricha's The Happiness Equation. So I know all of our listeners and members are going to get a real kick out of that one in particular. And then we've got the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, as well as the Happiness Advantage. Mike, I mean, this happiness series, it's delivered, I think.
Well, I think we'll just turn the entire Moonshots audience into rapturous happiness and joy. There'll be hands in the air. And then we're going to do one of our specials now. We had so much fun doing the Albert Einstein episode. We've decided to kind of dig into the annals of history, and we're doing none other than Sir Isaac Newton. And that will serve as a nice breaker before we go to another new turn for the show, Mark, the Wisdom series.
Look, I think the Wisdom series, similar to our current series on happiness, is quite an interesting direction for us to lean into as we're learning more about habits and adoption, mindsets. These are common, I guess you could call them emotions or directions or pillars in our lives that drive us forward. So why not understand the concept of happiness? Why not dig into the depths of wisdom? Because there's so much you and I and all of our Moonshots listeners can learn from these all-encompassing issues and topics. I can't wait to begin the brand new Wisdom series.
Yeah, and we've even got a JFK special coming up as well. Great leadership story around the Cuban Missile Crisis. So much ahead. Mark, I think it's been a ripping July. August is going to be full of happiness and wisdom. And then we're going to take a turn into some serious leadership stuff. There's a lot ahead, right?
Yeah, there's a lot ahead. You and I need to start growing our beards now so we can stroke them as we're doing the Wisdom series. I think that's the only thing missing from our next listener update in a month's time. Maybe they'll see us with slightly grayer hair. Thank
goodness we have an audio-only podcast. They can't see how unwise the two of us actually look.
Exactly.
All right, Mark, thanks so much for sharing some of the updates with me. And thank you to you, our listeners and our members. As always, we're super grateful, and we hope you're enjoying learning out loud together. And that's what we're all about here on the Moonshots podcast. That's a wrap.